There are numerous videos online asking where the hardest place in the world to visit is or where the most isolated place in the world is, but let's say you want the opposite. Let's say you're planning some sort of convention where you want to invite at least one person from every single country in the world. But since we're all pretty evenly spread out and our passports all give us different visa privileges for different countries, where exactly would be the best country to put this convention in order to minimize travel time and visas as best as we can for as many people? Sponsored by CuriosityStream. Click the link below to help out the channel. So before we can find just where we would want to have this convention, what do I mean by a country being easy to get to? Well, there are lots of cities around the world that are already global hubs. New York, London, Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong. These cities all attract millions of visitors every year and are each some of the most iconic and well-connected cities on this planet. But that doesn't mean all of these cities are necessarily easy for everyone to get to. For one, most of these countries, for example the US and the UK, have rather exclusive visa policies, each only really allowing nationals from a handful of countries to visit without a visa. This, in my book, just for the sake of this video, makes New York and London hard to reach, as billions of people will still need to get a visa from their local embassy before they even leave their home country. So this disqualifies them from the list, as I am looking for countries that allow the most people from the most countries to simply show up and get their passport stamped without having to step into an embassy. I'm also of course going to disqualify cities and countries that are just straight up hard to reach by plane. So Nauru, being a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific that requires most nationalities to get a visa, would be probably near the bottom of this list. So just so everything's completely clear before we start, basically, we're trying to get at least one person from every single nation to this country with the minimal amount of flights and visas. So we're not going to talk about how far they'll have to fly or how expensive those flights may be, or what's going on with the North Korean representative. First, let's look through the visa policy maps to find what might be the most inclusive countries purely in terms of visa-free access. The most inclusive visa policy might be that of Andorra, which is not part of the Schengen area but doesn't require any foreigners get a visa in advance. However, in practice, anyone going there will need to go through France or Spain, and the country is itself not that easy to reach, lacking any airports, seaports, or even train stations. Many Caribbean nations also show up on this list, notably Dominica, who only requires those from the Dominican Republic get a visa in advance. However, Dominica isn't exactly a global hub, with only two airports, Douglas Charles and Canefield, which both only serve destinations elsewhere in the Caribbean. Micronesia actually has a more or less completely open visa policy, with citizens of just about every recognized country having at least 30 days visa-free, although this is also 90 days for citizens of EU countries, except for in the UK and Ireland for whatever reason, and indefinitely for Americans, Palauans, and Marshall Islanders. So why is there so much time remaining in the video? Well, it's probably obvious, but Micronesia also isn't exactly much of an international hub. The country's three biggest airports are located in Ponape, Yap, and Kosrae, which each only serve domestic routes and flights to the Marshall Islands, Hawaii, and a couple US territories, and one flight from Ponape to Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, none of which are exactly international hubs either. Not even you, Honolulu. Let's go down the list a bit further until we find a bigger nation, maybe also one with a bit of a stronger tourism industry. Ecuador also ranks pretty highly on this list, although its visa policy isn't exactly as cordial as our previous examples thus far. However, Quito's Mariscal Sucre International Airport does have a pretty good selection of destinations. Yeah, that's not exactly London Heathrow though, is it? I mean, Quito gets a lot of traffic, but it's not exactly an international hub like the likes of London or Singapore or Dubai. Actually, let's change gear a little bit and look at some of the world's hub airports. If you want to establish a truly global hub airport, the best place to do so has been proven time and time again to be in the Middle East, smack dab between Europe, Asia, Africa, and not comparatively far from Australia, at least by Australian standards. One country that might be worth considering is Turkey, a very well-connected country with also a relatively open visa policy, at least as long as you're willing to include e-visas, which really aren't that hard to get at all and don't even require an embassy visit. Seriously, you can just pay a little bit of money and get it online. However, it is worth pointing out that the nationalities listed here in brown do have to fulfill some other conditions in order to be able to apply for the e-visa, which kind of throws this whole thing off a little bit. Turkey, however, is also home to Turkish Airlines, which alone flies to over 300 destinations in 126 different countries, the most out of any airline in the world. That, plus all the other airlines flying in and out of Turkey, is precisely why Istanbul just got a new airport that is being built up to eventually be able to serve over 200 million passengers every year, more than twice the capacity of the biggest airports in the world today. Okay, so it seems we've got ourselves a pretty good contender, but maybe not the most optimal. Looking back at the list of Middle Eastern countries with prominent global airlines, the list more or less boils down to Turkey, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. The UAE would be a pretty good pick, with Dubai alone as one of the world's most visited destinations and having one of the world's busiest airports. But their visa policy is fairly limited, and, like many of its neighbors, completely bars Israeli citizens from its borders, which won't exactly do for what we're looking for. Qatar and its capital Doha, however, might not be quite as popular as the Emirates, but it does still have a very well-connected airline, Qatar Airways, which actually serves about the same number of countries as Emirates, and has a wide-open visa policy where only Israelis and Egyptians need to apply for a visa before travel. But still, at least Israelis can apply. Doha Hamad Airport, home to Qatar Airways, is also one of the few airports that serve all 6 inhabited continents, something Istanbul does not do. Yet. If we wanted to do this all by population, in fact, Qatar Airways also serves most of the countries in this circle, which contains more than half the human population. In addition, the world's main population center, the average location of everyone on Earth, is also not relatively far away, being somewhere around South Central Asia. You know, maybe all this has something to do with the 2022 World Cup. So, if we were to hold a convention where we invite one person from every single country in the world, the easiest country for everyone to get to, on average at least, might just be Qatar. Of course, these things can all change pretty quickly, as there are always new contenders for this list. Qatar might not have completely open borders, but their relatively open visa policies, combined with their global reach, ensures their spot at the top. Though if you find any better countries, please be sure to let us all know. This video was made possible with the help of our sponsor, CuriosityStream. CuriosityStream is a documentary streaming service that I have personally used for a long time, even before they reached out to sponsor me, because they have an amazing selection of several thousand high-quality documentaries to watch. CuriosityStream is available all around the world on virtually every device. In fact, I was just watching the great documentary 101 Events That Made the 20th Century on my laptop when I realized I was suddenly needed for this convention in Qatar. Oh yeah, that's right. This should be easy for me to reach. And on my way to the airport, I was able to continue watching on my iPhone, Android, Windows Phone, iPad, Nokia, Yes Kia, laptop, TV, Squirrel, Data, or whatever else you have. Now, I don't know what kind of device you have, but if you're watching this video, you shouldn't have any problems watching CuriosityStream. A subscription only costs $2.99 per month or $19.99 for an entire year. And if you click on the link below or go to curiositystream.com/KhAnubis and use the code KhAnubis, you will get 1 month free and you will help support the channel. As always, thanks for watching. This was kind of in a different style to my normal videos, so I hope you enjoyed it. By the way, speaking of me changing up how I make my videos, if you want to get early access to my new videos, I now provide that as a perk to everyone on all tiers on my Patreon. As always, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you can learn something new every Sunday.